And you're not. If you can think it, then you best believe that you are not. If you can feel it, then you're not. If you go somewhere and they show you, then you're not. What am I talking about? You're not good enough for the person who says that you're not good enough for them. And that's why they keep treating you the way they treat you. Because you're not good enough. You're not a good enough mom. You're not a good enough sister. You're not a good enough dad. You're not a good enough brother. Whatever your good enough is, it's not good enough for that person that keeps treating you like crap. Okay, so let's talk about it and clean up something at the same time, y'all. Hey, y'all, it's Hello Life, and I'm Coco Bowden. And I'm here to talk and clean because I got mess in my house and in my closet, just as many skeletons as anybody else does. And I found that when the skeletons start to build up, when the emotional clutter starts to build up, it causes the home to be cluttered. And that we don't need in our mind, in our hearts, nor do we need our soul having to go through things that others have put us through. Now, what I'm doing tonight, this is a part 2 of cleaning, actually, from part 1, because I worked in here earlier today, and I was telling y'all about when I found my hair. I knew somebody was shaving my head, but they ain't never leave no hair around for me to see, and they've been doing this now for like 2 years. So today, led by the Spirit, and sure enough, the Holy Spirit was like, clean this. I need you to clean this area. And I had no idea that in that area was going to be some of my hair. I didn't know. And we already talked about it. So now let's move on to the part where, when you're not good enough for people, how it can make you take things out on yourself. And I already know it's not a low self-esteem thing for me or insecurity for me. I already know that I'm just not good enough for, people that I'm around. I already know it. And I never have been, truth be told, because when you stop doing things for people, if they can show you a different side of them just because you can't do something, or you finally get the guts enough to speak your opinion on certain situations, and they turn against you because of that, come on now. They was not never for you. They wasn't never for you. And I'm okay knowing that. It's okay with me. Before, I used to it would take me days and days to heal over things that people had said or done to me. But now it's a different me. When you can get over family betrayal, you can get over anything. If you can get through what your family has done to you and still come out with a sane mind, you can get through anything. Because family is the toughest and the hardest heartbreak to get over. Simply because of the blood. Because that blood that's there, it makes it hard, because you wouldn't think that somebody in your family could do you dirty. And then when you find out that they can, yeah, it makes it hard. Y'all, first, I ain't getting these. I gotta get this stuff from over here on the side of the bed. And then we're gonna talk some more. All right. Yeah. I have learned and had my shares of ups and downs. But one thing Maya Angelou taught me, if they can treat you that way, then if they treat you that way, don't let them keep having to show you over and over who they are. Believe them the first time. And it don't just gotta be family. It could be ones that we consider friends. It's just like I had my class reunion. I know I brought it up because it was a big deal to me. It was the first time I had been to one, and I didn't know how to act, how to respond, and I invited some friends to go with me because I have caught myself having backup just in case if one can't make it, then maybe the other one could. But none of them made it. You know why they didn't make it? They didn't make it because they didn't want to make it. Now, one, it was 3 in all that I had invited, but one didn't make it because it was his birthday weekend. So that one there, we ain't worried about him because he told me up front, he was like, girl, it's my birthday weekend. He said, but I see. But he didn't get to make it, so I knew he wasn't going to make it when he said that. Because that joker had been waiting for his birthday a whole year. He was waiting on that birthday to come around, so I know he won't come. But the other one, it did not surprise me that he didn't come either because he's always not been dependable in those areas. But I wanted, just to try and see if somebody, because I don't really have friends like that. I don't hang around with a lot of people, and the ones I do hang with, I'm learning, they're not really for me. And it's time I just cut that one loose, period. Because that one, he always doing that, trying to make somebody look bad. Always. Oh, man, I only got 10% battery on here. But we'll talk anyway. We'll keep it going. Yeah, I gotta get this stuff from over here. How in the world? Y'all know I just cleaned this side out. I just cleaned this side over here. I'm going to tell you exactly when I cleaned it. I cleaned this side out 2 Saturdays ago before I went to the reunion because I don't know why, but when I get ready to go somewhere, I start getting this, or do something that's special to me, I start getting this strength to clean up. And my mom, when we were younger, she used to do that, and maybe that's where I get it from, my mama Cammy. Because before we go anywhere, she had to have her house cleaned a certain kind of way. So that's probably where I get it from. And I don't know where I'm finna go, but I feel like God finna do something good. Well, he's always good all the time. But I feel like now's a chance I need to beef myself up. But betrayal can affect every aspect of your life. I never thought that betrayal would make me lose weight like it did and then made me gain so much of it back. And those of you who don't know, yes, it will. Because it hurts. Betrayal hurts because it's not coming from a stranger. It's coming from a trusted being. A trusted person in your life. Somebody you know. Somebody you got close ties with. It's not strangers. Strangers are different. When strangers hurt you, you can kind of like brush that off and be like, okay, that he was wrong or she was wrong, and I'm gonna move on. But when it's your loved one or the one you romantically involved with, and they betray you like that, you be like, how could you? We done built such a thing here, and now here you go, just messing it up. That's what hurts. It hurts. Y'all, I had no idea there was so much stuff over here inside this bed. I don't know whether to talk to y'all or just focus on what I'm doing over here. Because it's a lot. I need to get this up so that I can push my bed over. Ooh. We jumping topics, but TikTok got this. I wonder if I can wear these pants now. Because I got these clothes from TikTok, and they got this thing going on like you do 7 videos, you get paid for it. And I need to get paid for it because a big girl needs some money. We always need money. Man, what is all of this? See, y'all. Yeah, I need to do this. I need to focus on this. So we might talk about the betrayal thing on and off, but it looks like to me that my bedroom needs me more. Yeah, because it's more than beats the eye over here. And I want to pay attention. What in the world? Oh, I think that's another hair dye I had. Oh, yeah, it is. It was black. Did y'all know I was originally going to dye my hair black? And when I found out I was going to that reunion, I said, I'm going to try something different. And that's what I did. I went for the honey blonde. And been loving it ever since. How does one side of the bed get to be so messy? Somebody tell me it ain't true. Tell me why do you do my bedroom this way? Heartbreak can tear you up, though. Heartbreak. What else is there to do with heartbreak? You know what? Enough talking about me. Let's see if we can get some of y'all through the biggest hurdles and hurts in your life. And maybe my testimony can help someone. And the biggest thing I can say is, if you are going through betrayal issues, or the narcissist has just been playing with your mind and playing with your mind. I'm moving clothes around as I'm speaking. These clothes have never been, they've been taken out the bag and looked at, but never worn. And I'm going to do some TikTok videos on it. But getting back to everything, betrayal is the best way I found how to deal with hurt and pain. And everybody deals with things differently. Everybody copes differently. I found that a lot of times you can be hurting and not know why. And that's why you still hurting in the situation. That's what I found. And by the way, I'm not a therapist or anything, but I do got common sense. You could be hurting. Just, you're not even going through the motions. Now you're just sitting with the motions, babysitting them. Because you done been through so much. And don't know who to trust. Just really fearful about moving forward in life or moving on without that person. And narcissists make you feel like that. When you are a victim of narcissism, you feel lost, stuck. You feel like the world is moving on without you. You seeing friends and family. Even the narcissist is moving on. And you're like, how dare he or she move on without me? When if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't even exist. They wouldn't even be, known. Or, maybe you pay all the bills by yourself. Maybe that's the situation. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have a roof over their head. And they're being so unappreciative, cheating on you, lying to you, calling you everything in the book except for a lover, a girlfriend, or a boyfriend. Ooh. I'm feeling my knees is getting hit. Somebody's burning my leg. If you know anything about lasers, then you know what I'm talking about. But, to be honest, once these narcissists come in your life, you will never forget them. Never. Because they leave such a mark on you. And if you do forget them, it's because they didn't cause a trauma to your brain from all that manipulation. I never knew that somebody lying to you could cause trauma to your brain. But you know what? It's revealing each and every year. Scientists have been studying on it. Mental health professionals and psychologists, they have been studying on it. And they're starting to find that if you manipulate a person long enough, it causes scarring on the brain. That's why I don't agree with some of the things like what I'm going through. Only a narcissist could tell somebody to do such horrific things to a person, to damage their home, damage their life, damage their character. These are narcissists. Narcissists don't care if they go to heaven or hell. That's why they don't mind putting you through hell, because they don't care. None of that stuff is of value to them. All they care about is me, me, me. It's got to be my way or the highway. My way or no way. And you know what's sad about it? Is women like you and I, we come along thinking that, our love is powerful. We got this godly love in us. And we can change them, not knowing that some of them are stuck because they have a reprobated mind. And as long as that reprobated mind is active, you can't change them, and God is not dealing with them either. He's lifting his hands off of them. And that's the part where I think some women and men get lost at, is when they want God to do what they say do. They've been asking God for a long time. I remember when I was in that relationship I was in for 15 years. Yeah, it was the worst. Oh my God, it was so horrible. I can't say it was the worst relationship I was in, but it was just horrible. But all those years, I prayed for that man. Lord, please change him. Please, God. Change his heart, Lord. Take the taste of alcohol and dope out of his mouth. Take the taste of, being hateful and cussing out of his mouth. Lord, let him be a nice man, a good man for me. I prayed all those prayers for all those years. Repetitive prayers. You know what the Bible says about repetitive prayers? They ain't even welcome in the kingdom of heaven. They ain't even welcome. See, when we don't know better, we don't do better. And I would pray that prayer every time we get to fussing and fighting. But I would only pray it when he pack his little grocery bag of clothes and underwear to go back down the road. That's what I used to call it, down the road. I would pack my stuff. He'd pack his stuff and call somebody to come get him, or he'd leave walking. Back then, everybody didn't have cell phones. So you'd leave walking and go to somebody else's house and make that call, because I wouldn't let you use the house phone. Because I was being nasty-hearted too. But eventually, when he would leave, I would sit in my room, right time kids go to school, or maybe they go down to my mama's house, or, any moments I was finding by myself, because it don't happen when you're around people. When you're around people, you got this brave mouth, this brave front. You talk down on the person because you smearing their name too, because you want to look like you the good one in the relationship. So I was smearing his name around. He ain't do this. He ain't never helped me with this. I'm putting him down, not knowing it, making me look just as stupid. And in those moments, I'd start crying, thinking to myself, why ain't I good enough? Why can't I be good enough for him? I'm paying the bills. I'm making sure all of us are clean, dressed nice. I'm, cooking dinner. I'm buying the grocery. I'm allowing this man to lay up in here and chill all he wanted to. Not requiring anything from him, thinking that that's going to keep a man. Well, sisters, it don't keep a man. It just make him say, hey, I got 5 homes on this side of town, and I got another 5 on that side of town. When that man was telling me that, I thought he was lying. He wasn't lying. He had rich homes. He had poor homes. He had middle-class homes. They weren't his. They was the women's that he was messing with. And all of this. And he did the same thing for all of us. He preyed on women who had children who were already stable. That was his game line. He wanted women who was already well put together, and that way, he didn't have to worry about contributing anything to the home, because we were already standing on our own. That's the kind of woman he was looking for. He was looking for the strong women, so he could break them down. That's what he was looking for. And when he would leave, I'd sit here and I'd cry, and I'd call myself all kinds of names. Girl, you was stupid. And, I sit here and just pray for him. Pray for him. Go on, girl. Pray for him. Praying my little heart out. That man got worse. I was like, what in the world? I thought God's supposed to move when I asked him to. You know, that's because we be dumb. We be dumb. If you really think God is going to do something just because it's you and you don't have a relationship with him. Now, sometimes God does release favor. Now there is favor. Now, he do give favor. But in my situation, you know, I was asking God more for him than I was for myself. I wasn't looking at myself. I wasn't seeing what part of me was part of the problem that we were having. I never did. I never looked at me and said, hey, girl, you a problem. I didn't look at that and say that until I'd been single for almost 7-8 years. And then I realized that I was part of the problem. When that man came, and when he first started cheating on me, because I wasn't married to him, you know, that was the time I should have realized that I wasn't good enough for him. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it's okay to accept that you're not good enough for certain people, because they have a right to, you know, what they want. And I wasn't good enough for him, because I wasn't good enough for him, because what he was looking for, I could never offer. I could never offer him what he was looking for. He was restless in mind, in body, in health. He was restless. You can't give a restless man peace. Yeah, you can pray for him. But if you didn't pray so many times and ain't nothing happening, then it's time for you to pray for you. And that's what I began to do. That one night, that last time, you know, that last time was the last time. I was done. I don't know. When I got to the point where I was seeing blood, and like I never seen it before, I got in my car, and I had some things on my mind that weren't right. And that spirit that lives inside, you know, somebody prayed for me. Somebody was praying for me. Because whoever was praying for me, and this is why it's important to pray for your family and your friends and yourself. Because whoever was praying for me, their prayers got through in the nick of time. Because of the things I was going to do, I had already, you know, just really, my mind was set. My eyes were fixed. And my heart was on it to do what I was going to do that night. And when I got to where I was going, that spirit hit me. A bright light hit me and said, turn around and go home. It was a soft voice. God does speak to us. He does speak to us. Don't let your betrayal be the reason why you can't communicate with God, even if you don't know God that well. And that's why we call it a relationship, because we build these relationships with God. We don't just go into them. That was my encounter. That was an adult encounter. What happened? The night before that happened, I had prayed. No, after that happened, and I got back up here to my home, I rode around town a little bit. And I remember getting on this certain road. And every time I ride by that road, even right now, I think about that prayer. When I was just screaming, holding the steering wheel so tight. And I was screaming, God, help me. I said, Lord, you know, this prayer is not for him. I'm not coming to you for him now. I'm coming to you for me. God, I need to be cleaned out. Lord, what is it you need to do to get me straight? That was my prayer. Forgive me of my sins, God, my thoughts, my wicked ways. I went to God with a repentant prayer of sorrow, remorse. I was hurt, wounded, and I had blocked out good things and adopted negative things because of how this man treated me. And he always said that I couldn't keep house good or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons too I had stopped cleaning up, because I got to a point where he criticized everything that I love to do. Do you know I love to clean up? I actually like cleaning up. And that man criticized everything I did, from my waking up to my going to sleep. I would always have to get up early to go take him at beers and whatever he was smoking for that day. You know, when I quit smoking, the dope and stuff, I would have to take him at his. And you talk about a tiresome life. That was tiresome. And then the nights when he would run off, he would run to other women and sleep with these other women and smoke drugs with them. Because when I quit doing drugs, to God be the glory, I'd be drug free, I think, going on 17 or 18 years in November. Oh, and this month here, I will be cigarette free for 3 years. Yes. So if I could do it, you can do it too. But you've got to learn how to pray for yourself sometimes. When betrayal hits, when you get betrayed, and this is not selfish times, when you get betrayed by loved ones and people you know, that's when it's time to definitely look within and go to God for yourself. You may spend 364 days praying for everybody else, but that one day, you got to take that for yourself. You got to cover yourself. You got to speak to God on your own behalf. You got to let the Holy Spirit just intercede and lead you, because we don't know what to say when we get hurt like that. Hurts like that. You know how many times that man cheated on me? That man cheated on me from the time we was in that relationship. Before we got into the relationship, the man was cheating. And I didn't know, young and dumb. I was only 23 years old. Thought I knew it all just because I had a home. Don't let this world fool you. You can acquire all these goods like homes and cars, but that don't give you experience. Because this world going to put something on you called experience. And I had some bad experiences, but nothing like, whew. Them two men, them first two men I was with, oh my goodness. It was nothing like that. But I had to come to myself by praying. I think it could have been some fasting in there too, because I got where I had stopped eating, and it was too much to bear. Couldn't clean, couldn't cook. And then it seemed like, and I'm going to tell you how these curses work. These curses that some of these guys and women be throwing out, let me tell you how they work. Y'all, I'm still cleaning and talking. They can curse you so bad to where they call you all these names, like you a nasty MFer, or you just a beard. You know, they can call you all those names until it gets into your spirit. That's why you are not even letting nobody play with you with that name. Don't let nobody tease you with those names, because you can really become that MFer. You sure can. You can become what you are allowing people to call you. And I didn't know these things. I didn't know that this is how the spirit works. I didn't know these things. Y'all, I was so blinded by just thinking, you know, if you got the money, then of course you could do anything you want. But that's not true. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have spiritual sense, along with common sense, you have truly set yourself up for failure. So how do we get over this betrayal? It depends on how you cope, really. It depends. For me, it was hard. There's some things in this life that you never gonna get over, but you're gonna get through. one way I had to write it out. Because I didn't know what the problem was. I didn't know why I wasn't enough for that man. I mean, I dressed nice. I was a beautiful woman. Had all my teeth back then. Every one of them pearly white. I had a good shape on me. I thought so anyway. I wasn't insecure. I didn't have low self-esteem. But I was blind. You can be blind and not have low self-esteem. I was happy with my plus-size body. That wasn't a problem to me to flaunt this old big self around. That wasn't a problem. The problem was I was blind to what the enemy can really do to you when you think that you got it all. When you think you got it all figured out. You think that your plan is the plan in operation, not understanding that God has a plan for every one of us. Even those of you who do not claim to be His, He still got a plan. And His plan overrides anything that we plan. Now, He will let you go on out there and do your own thing. You'll find out what it's like to bust your head. Some of it take more than a few times. But once you hit it, I mean, you'll learn how to pray for yourself. But if you just ask the Holy Spirit, if you don't know what to pray, say, Holy Spirit, I'm in need. I don't know what to pray. I'm having trouble. My mind not there. I'm crying. I'm depressed. I got anxiety. My pockets are broke. Money funny. I'm lashing out at people because I'm angry at what somebody else did to me. So now when I go around good people, I don't even know how to behave around them. I need anger management, God. Ask the Holy Spirit. Keep just releasing what's inside of you. How do you really see yourself? What parts of you do you like about yourself? What parts of you don't you like? If you don't write these things down, because your mind can only hold but so much when you're going through traumas. If you don't write these things down, you're never going to know how good you are at something or how bad you suck at something. You know what I realized? As good as I can speak, I was a really bad communicator to people. As nice as I sound now and as educated as I was, I had no idea that I really sucked sometimes talking to people. Because sometimes what I say comes off as controlling or like I know it all. So I had to stop being the one to, act like I had a solution for everything. It wasn't dumbing down, but I realized that I wasn't giving people a chance to either fall and make their mistakes. I kept getting in God's way. That's the best way to say it. I kept getting in His way. I wasn't allowing people to make their mistakes. I wasn't allowing them to bump their heads because I was always babying them. And you know what? Every time I babied them, that was an opportunity missed for them to mature. And it was an opportunity missed for me to mature. And to learn about these attachment styles that I had. Some of you get betrayed because you are attached. You have attachment issues, abandonment issues. You got to always be attached to somebody. You can't live on your own according to the way you're thinking. If you think like that, no, you're not going to be able to live on your own. Now, when I first became single, it's one of them stories that it's one of them stories that you really don't, one of them stories that have like crazy things happening in between it, and you don't know how the story gonna turn out, and then the ending don't turn out the way you expected it to turn out. Because you can be thinking one thing, but then when it gets actually to it, it don't happen the way that you planned in your head. The way you planned for life to be. In my head, in my heart, I had planning and was trying to make a way for my kids to go to college. And that's not the way it played out, because that's traditional. That's traditional what we see others doing and saying, we all want our kids to be educated. But, college may not be the thing for, this child right here or that child right there. They may have their own walks of life, already started. And I was so caught up into this man and myself that I didn't even realize, you know what? My son ain't been home in almost a year to live. My son had moved out, and I wasn't even really paying no attention. I mean, I knew he was going places, but I never realized he left the room just like it was. That was it. My daughter, she had then moved out, and all this happened around the same time. All this happened between 2012, 2013. It seemed like everybody left at the same time. And next thing I know, I was here by myself. I was by myself. And now that I'm saying that out loud, now I'm kind of like questioning that. Like, yeah, how did that happen? But now I'm not questioning it. But that is what happened. When I broke up with him, next thing you know, everybody else was gone too. And I spent all this time in this house learning me. I had to. I ain't had no choice. The first 2 years of being single, the first 3 years of being single and having to deal with the betrayals on my own. And this time, y'all, I did not have a Kiva podcast going. I did not know. I knew some things about mental health, but I didn't know definitions and correct terms and language about mental health. So I ended up spending all that time learning about mental health. I've been studying mental health since I became single. I mean, really studying deep into it so I could learn how. I just couldn't understand, how could he do me like this? How? I just couldn't understand it. So I just studied and studied. I was trying to bring closure to something that was spiritual. It happened in the natural, but the closing has to be spiritual, because the natural, you may never get answers. You might not get answers for why they didn't like you or why you wasn't good enough. I sat around, and I ain't kidding, I asked this guy, I said, so why wasn't I good enough for you? We had great chemistry. We seemed to make each other laugh. We seemed genuinely to care about one another. And I just straight up asked him, because now by this time I'm maturing a little bit after that breakup. And I said, so what's going on? And he said, no, it ain't you. It ain't you. And I'm like, it's got to be me. What's going on? Is it my weight? That's the first thing. Now, that's when the insecurities hit. The insecurities hit after I became single. Woo, and they were low too. After that, I didn't trust my size. I didn't want to be plus size. I started covering up more. I had one guy ask me, he said, why you put on that many shirts? I got a tank top on, I got a t-shirt on, and I got long sleeves on. Yes. And I got on pants. I'm just trying to cover everything as much as possible. I'm trying to hide myself from the world and still date at the same time. And that was sucking. Oh, that was so bad. And the guy asked me, he said, why you got on all them clothes? You should let your arms out sometimes. I like to see arms. I was like, really? And I doubted myself because of how the narcissist had made me feel. After you are betrayed, if you don't try to correct what you have learned, or, tend to those wounds in your heart that you probably won't even know are there until you do become single, or until you have been away from the people who hurt you. You won't know how deep those wounds are until you go no contact. Once you go no contact with the person who hurt you, that's when you start realizing how deep they really did cut you. How that smear campaign really did hurt you. You know, how every time they cheated on you or, you know, told lies on you, how it really did offend you. See, in the heat of the moment, while you're still in the relationship, the friendship, or businessship, you don't think about all that. But when you get that time to yourself and become single, that's when it's all there. It was heartbreaking, but that's the moment when you got to come to yourself. That's when you got to really, truly come to yourself. After you done been out there in that world playing and getting hurt, you playing a game, but you get your feelings get hurt for real. I hear these young girls nowadays just playing all kind of games with these men, and they think it's funny. But then when they see themselves by themselves, it hurts them for real to realize nobody really don't want you. You're not good enough for them. You got to learn how to accept not being good enough for a person. And the sooner you learn that, the better off you're going to be. It ain't going to be like just brush it off. If it hurts you, you know, it's okay to let people know that hurt. That thing hurt. But what you're not going to be able to do is let go of it until you address it. You got to give it a closing. Some kind of way. And if we talk about closing, that just take too long. You have to go listen to some of my Kiva's classes. I do talk about all this on the Kiva podcast, which is on this same podcast outlet. You can find me on there. So if I was to give you something right now that you could really use to help you if you're going through betrayal, I would say write down what really hurts you the most about it. I would start there. What's hurting you right now? Don't just sit there and cry and with your finger in your mouth or, you know, do like I did, play the same songs over and over. I'll play the same song 100 times and cry some, laugh some, and then start reminiscing about the good times knowing they ain't coming back. That's just falseness. That's just, you know, feeding into the illusion or the imagination. And the first thing you do is cast down that imagination. You want to be able to get, when you get to a place where you can listen to songs that you like, but they don't affect you like they used to affect you around that certain person, because songs can carry a spirit too. When you get to that point where you can hear that song and not be thinking about that person, and you know you're healing. So write it out. Write that out, what is hurting you the most. Y'all, I've been still working too. What's hurting you the most about this relationship? About this situation that you've been betrayed in? For me, it was just the fact that I had spoiled myself in a way. And in a way, I told myself, you know, I can get what I want, how I want it too. But then when somebody went against the grain, it messed up the plan I had in my head. For the family, the husband, the kids, the money to be there. It messed it up for me. The dreams I had of living in a nice big home and, you know, it was so much that went along with the dream I had for growing up. And when it gets interrupted, that's what hurts. When I found out I wasn't good enough, that hurt. Because you want to know what really hurt? Let the man you love go sleep with a prostitute. Or the person they call a crackhead or dope addict on the street. And I ain't talking about the good looking ones. I'm talking about the ones that look really bad. Raggedy teeth, no teeth. The ones that be stinking. If you want to know what hurt feel like, check that out. I'm talking about the ones that you know they be saying got stuff. Now that's real. That junk hurt. Can't nobody tell me it don't, because it happened to me too many times. And every time it happened, it was never the same pain. The pain got deeper and deeper every time it happened. Now I know you be like, well, how deep does pain go? I don't know, because it was times when it would go so far that it would knock me out. I would, knock out for days. Just be walking around on autopilot. What I mean by knockout is I would sleep for days. Mind just shut down. Can't handle it. That's what would happen. I would just shut down. And when I would come to myself, I look and say, dang, he chose her over me. I mean, he chose being in a nice home, full refrigerator, just peace and quiet. He chose her over me. And he jumping hurdles for her, but I can't even get him to cut the grass. I can't even get him, to go see about his own health or get driver's license. And here he is driving somebody else's car, taking her to the doctor. Paying her bills. That hurted. That was betrayal. Some of you going through that same thing. And I want you to know that you can make it. It's okay to be by yourself. We won't be like this always. We're not going to be single always. My little grandbaby, she was like, Grandma, when I be about 10 years old, you might be getting ready to get married. I was like, okay, girl. But yeah, it's for real. I've been single now around 14 years. The saying is true. When you stop doing what they are doing, they don't want you anymore. I stopped doing drugs. I started cleaning my act up. I started going back to church, singing gospel songs and learning about God. And that was the thing that made him run. He got away from that. He took off. And I look back now. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Got a little yawny. I look back now and I say I'm glad it happened the way it happened. It's a good thing it happened like that. It was good that they hurt me, that they hurt my feelings, that they afflicted me, that they caused me to cry so many nights, because I learned from it. I learned from it, and it's made me stronger. I still got some weak areas. I still need God. I don't care how good it looks on this side. I still need God. And you still gonna need God too. We gonna keep needing God. But yeah, write that thing out what hurts you the most. And then ask yourself, why does it hurt me so bad? Why does it hurt so bad? Is it because it messed up your dream of who you thought you were supposed to be? Or, did it hit your pride? My pride was hurt. It was ruined. It was damaged. I'm glad my daddy wasn't here to see that. At the same time that me and this guy are breaking up, my dad had broken up. My dad also passes away. My dad didn't like him, but he got along with him because he loved me. If my dad had been still living to see that, I think my pride would have been hurt because I was putting him before my daddy. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I would put him before my daddy, and I had to deal with the guilt of that and the shame of that. But yeah, write it out and ask yourself, why does it hurt so bad? What about this time is different? Why this time hurts so bad? What's making you want to leave now? Are you still going to take them back? Are you still going to be friends with them? You still going to work with them? There's so many questions you need to ask yourself. Right there. Even if you have to write the questions down first, then ask yourself. But you need answers. And this is how you get answers. This is how you find your closure. It's through answering the questions that you don't have answers for. And those of you that are in relationships and you want to ask them, why wasn't I good enough for you? You ain't going to get no answer to that. You already know that. So that's going to have to be a spiritual closure. And the best you can say on that is, and this here, I ain't trying to be funny or anything, but this the best you really can say about that is that he does have a right to choose who he want to be with. It's not a matter about being good enough for him. It is did he choose you? Did she choose you? Because they have a right to be with who they want to be with if they're not married to you. And, and you have to ask yourself, did you choose them and let this thing become one-sided? So we can't blame one without really looking at what we did too. Because we did some things too. I was in a one-sided relationship. I knew it. And I was just too stubborn to let it go. Too prideful to let it go. And where it got me was nowhere. It got me into a world of emotions and years. Did I say years? And years of therapy. And why the therapy? Because when you get to a place where you so mad and you go, what they call it? They call it supernova. You are damaged. You damaged goods. Somebody's got to help you get put back together. Preacher, therapist, whoever. You going to need help when you go supernova. If you've been with a narcissist and they have pushed you to the point where you finally blow up and go off, you're going to need help being put back together. You can't do it by yourself. I'm one of the strongest people I know. And I'm not just saying that, but I'm saying this from experience. I have been through some things that I know some of y'all been through too. But I have seen some infidelities go on that I never in a million years thought would have happened to me. I never thought them people would have did that to me. People I love, no. But they did. And when I finally exploded, I didn't come back the same way I went out. Who I was when I went out is not who I am now. It's not who I am now. I worked my butt off to get to be who I am now. But who I was in between the explosion and who I am now, that was a hard journey. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy, but it was hard. Because you got to deal with what they done trained you, who they done trained you to be. And you got to fuss with yourself. So you still arguing with them in your head for years. Because of that training. That training has to come out. And that's why I recommend that you pray as often as you need to. Lord, renew my mind daily. Renew my mind. And if you don't know this and you start to get into where you think about the past too much, you can be your own safety net by saying, God already promised me that he will renew my mind daily. So let me just jump out of what I'm thinking and go start doing something else. Start doing something that's going to cause you to prosper and be in good health. Instead of thinking on those negative things. Write it down if you need to go back to it and, talk about it. But, try to get you a solution to it. But don't dwell on that stuff. Don't let that stuff keep you in the past. From experience, it just ain't worth it. You have to remember that we have been promised. We have been given each day new. And you have to live in that new day. Quit trying to stay in the past because it feels good. And that's where it's familiar. Everything is familiar. That's how you get through that betrayal. Is letting go of those things that happened to you. And what else? And as far as being good enough, you just have to know that you are good enough. When you know that you're good enough, you won't have to ask that question because, see, that's an inside thing. When you know that you're good enough, you won't have to sit around looking in people's face. Why ain't I good enough for you? I'm just not good enough for nobody. That's an inside job. You're not good enough in your head because that's what you have been trained to believe and you believed it. That's what happened. So you have to go in your head and get from underneath that training that keeps telling you that you're not good enough. And these trainings can not only come from relationships or businesses business relationship. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, by the way. This same betrayal can happen in business, is anything. But you could have picked that up anywhere. You could have just picked it up as a spirit. Somebody you were hanging around could have just been like, well, I'm not good enough. Or she always makes me feel bad about myself. Well, that's because you sitting there allowing it. You got to speak up for yourself. People's feelings going to be hurt, regardless if you hurt them or not. But you can't sit there and let them keep hurting you. Putting in you that you're not good enough. See, every time I thought I wasn't good enough, it was because of something somebody had said. When you start feeling like that, go back and trace your steps. Trace your steps and find out, what did that person say about you? Who said something about you that caused you to feel that way? Because usually you done got triggered whenever you go into that type of thinking. Somebody done triggered you, and you got to find out what triggered you. Maybe you did see the guy with another woman treating her better, or the woman with another man and he was treating her better. You know, even if you saw that and it triggered you to, why wasn't I good enough for him to do that with me? It's an inside job. How was he treating you when you was with him? Did he really treat you like he wanted to do that with you? Because the relationships and situationships I was in, them guys was not treating me like they wanted to do that with me. That was me jumping to conclusion. And I'll admit to that. That was me jumping to conclusion. They didn't act like they wanted to take me out to eat. They didn't act like they wanted to take me no movies. They didn't. That was me. So you got to find out what part of that is you. And so when they wouldn't show up to these things that I wanted to do, you know, then I had the feeling, I'm not good enough. They won't take me, I'm not good. No, they won't take you because it won't never own them to take you. You good enough, you just with the wrong person. You with a person who don't recognize that. Or either you just, they may not want to lead you down that hole, you know. They might not want to lead you down that way. To thinking that y'all got more than what you got going on. And y'all know how us women is. Sometimes we just talk to a guy all night long. And then the next day, all lovely-dovely in the mindset. But that's not true. The guy can be like, well, we had a good conversation, that's it. And he gone by his business talking to other women. But you be stuck on that one man. So when you start feeling like you're not good enough, go back and look at yourself. What triggered me to have this emotion? What made me think like this? Who was I around last? What were we talking about? Because that has a lot to do with it. Triggers. Once you learn them triggers, you ain't going to be bothered with that no more. Well, you'll be bothered with it, but you'll learn how to fight it off. Because when I used to think like that, it was only because I was trying to make a man do for me that didn't want to do. Yes, I was. I was trying to make that man be somebody who he wasn't. I was trying to see, in my head, I didn't clean the man up. But in reality, he was the same piece of man that I found. Notice what I said, that I found. He didn't even find me. I found him. Well, we found each other that night. I don't know how, but it was crazy. But anyways, that's how you deal with those inadequate feelings, by addressing what your triggers are. How did you get triggered? How do you feel about yourself? Do you think you deserve to have what you are requiring of them? And if you feel like you really deserve it, then why are you with somebody who can't provide that? Because clearly, if they're not providing the type of emotions you want, or the attachment, or, you know, being the provider that you want, that's a you thing. That's a you problem. You got to let them know that up front. You can't be springing stuff on people once you done accepted it for 5-10 years. Now all of a sudden, you want to voice your opinion. No, you didn't got planned on now. But y'all, that's enough. And I did get that side cleaned out. I just got to put these clothes up. And, you know, maybe this is going to help somebody. It has helped me a lot. Hello Life. I didn't expect Hello Life to be this good, y'all. It's such a juicy podcast. And we get to clean up our messes. I did so good today. I got 3 bags of stuff up out of here. I love it whenever I get these bags like this. And I start early now. I don't wait to clean up now. Y'all, I'm done talking about the betrayal. I don't wait now to clean up and get the trash ready, on Tuesdays like I used to do. It used to just be Tuesday. You know what? I start now on Saturdays. On Fridays and Saturdays, I start trying to keep everything up and all that. And I feel good about what I've done today. And I hope as you was cleaning that not only were you cleaning up the trash or dusting something or wiping down something, but you were also decluttering your mind from them inadequate feelings. Them feelings is from the devil. And you got to learn why he messing with you about it. Once you get the upper hand of what your triggers are and why it triggers you, you'll be all right. You'll be able to slow yourself down and say, wait a minute, that ain't even my thought right there. That ain't even how I think. I remember one day, I was thinking something back in 2022. I was like, oh my God, where are these thoughts coming from? They want my thoughts. Because I know myself good enough to know that I love life. And the thoughts that would come to my head was nothing I would not think. And where did I get those thoughts from? Could have picked it up on TV commercials on the TV. Could have picked it up on watching TikTok. If you watch enough sad stuff, you're going to have a sad life. I tell my granddaughters, look, y'all, cut that sad stuff off. I don't care if it is in your algorithm. You keep typing in the search engine till it changes and it fits what you like. Block those sad, some of the sad stuff that be coming through there. Because all sad stuff ain't good. And keep in mind, people only posting because we all want to make some money. So once you find out what the source is that keeps making you sad or depressed, cut it off. Cut it loose. Let it go. All right, y'all. I got to go. Because it's almost 1 o'clock. I got to go drink some water. My throat dry. Y'all have a blessed one. Thanks for tuning in, listening to Hello Life. Oh, the place where you could just live clean, and happy. Peace, love, and happiness.